Hey everybody, welcome to the very first episode of Video After the Bell. Welcome to everybody who joins me every week at the North Lawrence Middle Schools. Welcome to Mitchell Junior High FCA. If you guys are watching with us today, welcome to alumni of After the Bell, crowd people, whoever's watching this. I have no idea. This is the first time we're trying this. We're seeing how it goes. It's going to be me today, just kind of giving a mini version of what After the Bell is. And if you're going, hey, what is After the Bell? I don't even know what this is. After the Bell is our after school program that we do once a week at the North Lawrence Middle School, Shawzick, Olytic, and Bedford Middle School. And FCA people from Mitchell, if you're watching, we kind of do a little bit of this, like the story time part, on the prayer time part. You'll get that. We kind of have the same thing every week. You just miss out on some of the games and the other things that we do in the very short time we have. But we're gonna give this a try here in the middle of the Corona apocalypse. I don't know what you call it, Corona-geddon. I'm not really sure, but we're gonna make the best of it. So I'm gonna try to do this, every week if I can. I might even do it during spring break. Too, we'll see. I haven't decided yet. Might be able to get guests on. I don't know. It just depends on how much we're forced to stay at home and things like that. And it's okay. We're just gonna make the best of it. We're gonna have a good time with it. And so here it is today. We're gonna give it a try. I'm gonna try to do better with technology, but really, honestly, I'm just doing the best I can here, guys. So we're gonna try it and see how it goes. And I'm just glad if you're joining us. Thanks for joining us. It should be fun. And we'll give you a little taste of what we do every week, and maybe it'll give you a little bit of a break in your day, and you'll enjoy it. So thanks for joining us. Follow us too, if you would, on Facebook, Instagram. A little behind what I was going to do here. Facebook and Instagram, we have pages for that. Follow that. We'll tell you when we post things, and or follow us on YouTube too. We have a channel, Between the Crowd. Just follow that, subscribe to it, and we'll try to put these out and let you all know. Share with your friends, tell them about it. Say, hey, this is something fun you could do while you're stuck inside. So we'll see how it goes. But today we're just gonna do the best we can with it and see what happens and go from there. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have a game time. That's right, because you have to have a game time and After the Bell, right? We can't really do this game in groups like we might normally do, so I'm trying to find some things that you can do on your own at home, and maybe we'll have prizes. I don't know yet. We'll have to figure that out and how we can make that happen, but we're going to do our best with it. So the game we're going to play today is called Did They Oreo It? That's right. We're going to try to figure out if you can figure out if they have Oreoed these flavors that we're going to tell you about today. So if you can get a piece of paper or something like that and keep track of it, that would be awesome. You can put your score down in the comments section, and just maybe make a thread of that part of it. That'd be cool. And we'll just see, maybe who wins. If we need tiebreakers, we'll figure that out too. I don't know how this is. We're experimenting. We'll see what happens. But maybe we'll be able to give prizes at some point for whoever wins this. But I think there are 11 of these today, so I will read them off to you, show you the graphic, and then we'll see. Did they Oreo it? All right, you ready to go? Here we go. First one, birthday cake. Birthday cake. Did they Oreo birthday cake? They didn't. They should have. And the answer is, you ready? Yes, they did. They did Oreo birthday cake. Great idea. I'd like to get a hold of some of these, especially right now while I'm indoors and I have nothing else to do, right? How about this one? Pancake batter. Did they Oreo pancake batter? All right, you got an answer? The answer is no. Gosh, that'd be gross, actually. Pancake batter? Pancakes with, syrup type of thing? That might be cool. That might be kind of cool, but not the batter. That would be kind of gross. How about this one? Rocket Pop. You know what a Rocket Pop is? It's when I grew up, they were called Bomb Pops. They're like red, white, and blue popsicle things you get off from an ice cream truck. Yeah, maybe, I don't know what you call them, but I called them Bomb Pops. But did they Oreo that? The answer is no. They have not Oreoed those. I don't know how that would go. So, how about this one? Yeah, that's right. Candy cane. Can't read some of the things backwards that I'm trying to do. Candy cane. Have they Oreoed candy cane? What do you think? The answer is yes. Yes, they have. They have Oreoed candy canes. Probably get that at Walmart during Christmas, I'm going to guess. How about this? Creamsicle. Creamsicle. Have they Oreoed creamsicle flavor? The answer is yes. They sure have. They have Oreoed creamsicle. That might be pretty good. I don't know. Haven't tried one of those. How about this one? Mango smoothie. I gotta admit, I've never had a mango smoothie or Oreo mango smoothie, so I'm not really sure. Have they Oreoed that? The answer is no. No, they have not. Might be good. I don't know. Never tried it. How about this? Marshmallow crisp. I'm gonna guess this is kind of like a Rice Krispie bar. That would be pretty good. Rice Krispie bars sound really good right now, to be honest. So, did they marshmallow? Did they marshmallow? Did they Oreo marshmallow crisp? Yes, they did. They sure did. Sounds good. Might get a hold of some of those. How about this banana split? Did they Oreo banana split? The answer is yes, they sure did. Sounds good. How about this one? Peanut butter chocolate chip. Dude, that sounds like a Reese cup or something. That's a possibility. What do you think? Did they Oreo it? The answer is no, they haven't. Maybe they should. You have to write them a letter. You got plenty of time. You can do this. And how about this one? Fruit punch. Did they Oreo fruit punch? And the answer is yes. Yes, they did. They Oreoed fruit punch somewhere, somehow. And our final one is strawberry shortcake. Now, they should have done this if they didn't. They should have. I mean, I could see like chocolate-covered strawberries even. Come on, Oreo. Whoever makes you, you should come up with this if you haven't. Or did they? The answer is no, they haven't. Come on. Come on, you should come up with that, Oreo. Try that. All right, there's your 11. Keep track of that score and put that in the comments below if you want, and we'll keep track of that and we'll see what happens. And maybe we'll have a prize. I don't know. Maybe Oreos will be involved in this prize. That's a great idea, right? All right, next thing. Story time. It is time for story time. And today for story time, we are going to talk about being a good neighbor. So, growing up, I used to watch a show all the time. It was on PBS back in the day. I mean, listen, back in my day, we had like, I don't know, 5 channels, something like that, on TV. That's it. I mean, I had very little options. I didn't have cable or anything like that growing up. It's sad, isn't it? Can't imagine what it would be like going through this without it, right? But that was the way it was, and we didn't know any different. So one of the shows that I watched growing up was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Yeah, I love that show. They came out with a movie just last year starring Tom Hanks, who has now survived coronavirus. Good for you, Tom. Way to go. And Tom survived that, and so we can too, right? But yeah, Tom put out, they had a movie talking about Mr. Rogers, and I haven't seen it. I want to see it. I think it'd be really good. I think he'd be really good at that. I thought that he would be a great person to play Mr. Rogers. But yeah, Mr. Rogers would come in, every day, and he'd walk into this cheery music, and he'd start singing a song about, won't you be my neighbor? And I would sing, but I won't do that to you. But he'd come in and he'd change his shoes and he'd change his sweater, and he'd come in all happy, and he'd be singing the song about a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and he would ask, "Won't you be my neighbor?" And man, Mr. Rogers was great. He was always about how can I love my neighbor? How can I care for them? He was always about breaking down walls. Like, I don't know if you knew this, but I mean, he broke down some walls of racism that had been going on with his show. It was really cool. And so he's done a lot of great things in the name of, will you be my neighbor? And how can I care about you and love you as a neighbor? So it's pretty cool. And Mr. Rogers was somebody I looked forward to watching every day as I was growing up. Maybe you've seen it too. Maybe you haven't. It's probably I'm guessing reruns are still going on. But if you haven't, check it out somewhere. I'm sure you could find it on YouTube as well. But Mr. Rogers was all about loving his neighbor, and that is our God story today. We are going to talk about a story about loving your neighbor, and so. Mr. Rogers I'm sure he loved this story as well, and you could find it in the Bible in the book called Luke, Luke chapter 10. You can always look that up there. But here's the story. I'll kind of go through it with you and talk about it a little bit. Basically, what happened? There was a day when Jesus was out teaching and doing his thing. I mean, he was always on the go, always doing great things. Amazed me, the stuff he did. And he was out one day, and a guy came up to him, and he was a guy that was like kind of an expert in religious law and things like that. And he came up to Jesus, and I think he was trying to make himself kind of feel good about himself, like, or maybe he was, trying to figure out, have I got this all together? Am I getting this right? Because Jesus seems like he's a guy from God, and he seems like he knows a lot. And so, I'm gonna see if he knows what's going on. And so he came up to Jesus, and he's like, listen, I really want to follow God well. I really want to do the things he wants me to do. So, am I doing things right? Am I getting this right? And he starts talking about how he's followed all the laws of God, and he's done that since he was a kid. And so Jesus is like, well, follow that stuff. That's good. And so what does that mean? And so what do the laws say to do? And so the guy goes, well, as I see it, I think it's about loving God like with all that you are, loving him with every part of you, and loving your neighbor as yourself. And I think that like kind of wraps everything up, which is funny because Jesus had said the same thing at another point, that you do those things, and man, that is exactly what God's looking for in people's lives. And so he says, yeah, I've done that stuff. And Jesus is like, that's great, that's great. You do that, and that's how you should live. But the guy wanted to go further, and for some reason he asked, so who is my neighbor? Don't really know why he asked that. I don't know if he was like really trying to figure it out. I don't know if he hoped Jesus would say, well, yeah, your neighbor is somebody like your wife, or somebody like that, your family. And he would go, oh, good, I got that right, because I love my wife, she's great, and love my family, and I try to take care of them. That's awesome. Or maybe he thought Jesus would say, like your neighbor John, lives next door to you, and John, that guy, and he's like, oh man, yeah, I love John. John's great. We sometimes talk over the fence. Sometimes, we stop mowing, our yards, and we talk. And we're also in a fantasy chariot racing league together. And I don't know. I don't know what they did back then like that, but he's like, I like John. John's great, and I want to be involved in that. And so I want to be with John. I can love John. I mean, John's easy to love. He's a great guy, and maybe he was hoping that was what Jesus would say. I don't know, but he asked, who's my neighbor? Who is this person that I'm supposed to love as I would love myself? And so Jesus, as he always did, he likes to tell stories. And so he tells this story. It's not a true story, but it's a story that makes a point. And Jesus loved to tell these stories, and they're great. And if you think about them, they have a lot to say to us. So Jesus tells this story. Let me read it for you here. So Jesus says, a Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, they beat him, and they left him half dead beside the road. By chance, a priest came along, and when he saw the man lying there, he crossed to the other side of the road, and he passed him by. A temple assistant walked by, and he looked at him lying there, but then he also passed to the other side. Then a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. So going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged them. Then he put the man on his own donkey, and he took him to an inn. And there he took care of him. The next day, he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, telling him, "Take care of this man. If his bill runs higher than this, I'll pay you the next time I'm here." Now, which of these 3 do you think was the neighbor to the man who was attacked by bandits? Jesus asked. And the man said, "The one who showed him mercy." And Jesus said, "Yeah, now go and do likewise." So, really wild story. I mean, you have this guy and he's attacked and he's beat up and they steal everything from him, and here they leave him half dead laying on the side of the road. Crazy. I mean, how would you feel to be in that guy's shoes? It'd be terrible. But he sees somebody coming, and it's a priest, a guy that's in charge of the local temple, their church at the time, and you think, man, this guy, he's all about God, and he's all about caring for people. This would be great. I know he'll help me out. But the priest takes a look at this guy, and he just goes to the other side of the road. That's surprising. You wouldn't expect that, would you? You would think that guy would be the first person to want to help, but he doesn't. He just takes off the other side of the road. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know if he's like, I'm not dealing with this. I don't know if he's like, dude, I'm busy. I got other things going on. I got to get somewhere at a certain time. We don't know. It doesn't say, but the priest just left him laying there. Didn't care enough even to walk on the side of the road and say, "Good luck, buddy." Not even that. Just walked to the other side of the road and kept going. So then another person comes along, another Jewish person. Again, same guys, same race of people. You'd think they would have compassion for each other, right? Nope. This guy comes along. He's a temple assistant. He's basically like, I don't know, he helps in their temple, helps in their church. Don't know exactly, according to this one, what he would have done, but you'd assume that he cares for people at the temple and cares for people in their church. And so here he is. He comes along, and you would think, oh, this guy will help him, right? I mean, he's probably used to helping people. Maybe the priest has got other things to do, but this guy, he'll stop and help. Well, this guy at least comes over and looks and goes, he's kind of beat up. Things aren't good. But then he takes off to the other side of the road and keeps going himself. You're like, whoa, this is crazy. I mean, 2 people that you would have thought, hey, they would jump in and they would help out, and they don't. Then a 3rd guy comes along. He's a Samaritan, a despised Samaritan, they say. And you think, whoa, that's weird. Why in the world? What's the big deal there? Well, here's the thing about Samaritans and the Jewish people. They hated each other. They couldn't stand each other. They didn't want to be anywhere near each other. You see, somewhere along the line, they had similar ancestry, but somewhere along the line, some things had happened that made those 2 groups hate each other. They didn't want to be anywhere near each other. And so Jews despised Samaritans, Samaritans despised Jews. And so, people, it was so bad, that like in the north, there was in kind of Israel, there was like Jewish people lived in the north, and then the Samaritans were in this section, and then the Jewish people lived in the south. This is where Jerusalem, where the story was. And so like people traveling from north to south, Jewish people, they would go way around Samaria. They didn't want to be anywhere close to those people. And so they go way out of their way. I mean, it'd be quicker just to go like that, but they go way out of their way. And they walked back then too. It wasn't like they could, get on a bus and go way around or anything. I mean, or a car or something like that. They went way around because they just could not stand each other. They despised each other. And so that's why a despised Samaritan is used here. This guy would have been normally like, stay away from me, buddy. But here he was laying here, and the Samaritan comes along, and the Samaritan is the guy that has compassion. He says, oh my goodness, this poor guy, we got to do something about this. And so he immediately starts looking around. How can I treat this guy's wounds? And so that's what he does. He finds what he can to treat wounds. And so then he puts him on his donkey, and he takes him to a nearby inn, probably somewhere maybe he had been before. And he puts him up for the night, and he cares more for his wounds. And he pays the innkeeper the next day and says, listen, I don't know if this is enough to take care of this guy's needs. He probably needs to stay a little bit longer. He's pretty beat up. But if you could just take care of him, and I've got to go, but I'll be back. And if he gets more costs, more days than I've given you money for, I'll take care of it. I'll make sure this guy is taken care of. So the Samaritan, the guy that you would think in the story that would just leave this guy for dead, is the guy that has compassion. And he's the guy that says, hey, I'll take care of you. I'll make sure that you live and survive to see another day. Interesting story, isn't it? Pretty cool. There's a couple things that I get out of the story that I think are pretty important. One is, I think, as I read this story and as I look at other things in the Bible, when we're talking neighbor, when Jesus says love your neighbor, I don't really think that necessarily means the dude across the street. Now, it can. And I don't think it necessarily means, the person that lives like 5 feet away from you, if you live in an apartment or something like that. It definitely can, and definitely does apply. But I think there's a deeper thing here. I think what they're trying to say is that your neighbor is the people near you, somebody near you, somebody that you see all the times, anybody, or somebody you see maybe not very often. Maybe you go out to eat and you go to a restaurant, and that waiter or waitress is your neighbor in that moment. Maybe somebody, someday you'll be driving, and maybe that neighbor is this person that, pulls out in front of you. I have trouble with that sometimes. It's somebody, whoever's near you, I think is what Jesus meant by your neighbor. Whoever's near you at that moment, that's your neighbor. That's the person that we're talking about. And the response that Jesus wants us to have is love. He wants us to love our neighbor as we would ourselves. So basically putting ourselves in somebody's shoes and saying, how would I want to be treated right now? How would I want to be loved? That's how Jesus wants us to take care of us, take care of people, and take care of our neighbor. So loving somebody as you would somebody that's near and dear to you, even if they're not somebody maybe that you get along with, or maybe you don't like them, or maybe they've been mean to you or a jerk. Maybe somebody that you would just think, I wouldn't get along with them at all. I mean, they drive me insane. But it's those kind of people too. When they're near us, Jesus says, hey, I want you to love them. That's the response I want you to have. And I think those are the couple things we could take out of that story. There's probably a lot more, but those are a couple things I think we can really hang on to. So usually at this point, I go into a thing called either my story or your story. And I talk about a story that's been, working on me, or a story that happened in my life that goes along with this. And we talk about your story and give you a chance to kind of think about it. But today really is our story. Because I want to tell you something, guys. I have never, ever gone through this whole coronavirus quarantine deal we're going through right now. I've never gone through it, never seen it. This is all new to me. This is all new to the adults in your life, just as much as it's new to you. So I'm still trying to figure this whole thing out myself. We're all in this kind of boat together. So that's why I'm going to call this our story today. We're living in a weird time. This is weird. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's just odd. Never seen anything like it in our world, but it's reality, and it's something we all have to deal with and work on. We're being told to practice a thing called social distancing, right? Social distancing. You've heard that, where you try to keep space, and so we're all trying to kind of stay home, stay away from people, no contact. I like to get fist bumps and high fives and stuff to people, and I'm kind of having to go distance, type of thing. That is for some of you that are in my high five club. You'll know what I'm talking about. But anyway, we're trying to keep social distance, and it's weird because if you look at this story we talked about today, you almost go, wait a minute, didn't the priest and the temple assistant, didn't they like social distance right there? Isn't that kind of what they did? They kind of stayed away, like, hey, you stay over there, buddy. And it was the other guy that jumped in and started tending his wounds and got close. And you're like, well, you're not supposed to do that in the coronavirus era. And I get what you're saying, but here's the thing. To really love our neighbor right now, we have to social distance. To really care about people who are really susceptible to this whole virus thing, older folks, people with immune systems that are down. I mean, to really care about them, we need to try to keep our distance right now. And that's really the most loving thing we can do. It's almost impossible. I mean, it's hard. I mean, there are places sometimes we still have to go and be and that kind of thing. But as much as we can to try to social distance is actually more loving of our neighbor right now than being close to them. But it leaves me going, it just seems like I should be doing more than living in a bubble, right? I don't know if you feel that way, but I kind of feel that way. I kind of feel like, how in the world then can I really love people? Yeah, staying away, that's one thing, but it just feels like there's more I could do. So what can we do to try to help people and try to love people more than just sitting in a bubble and waiting for this virus to go away? What else can we do? So I've been trying to brainstorm some stuff, and I really want to encourage you guys to be a part of this. So if you guys would, in the comments, leave some ideas. You have some things you're like, hey, this is one way I found that I can love people during this. Maybe there are other ideas you've seen. Leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear it. I have a few for you. You ready? These are some things you could possibly do, and I can possibly do too. Okay, you ready for this? Okay, 1, we need to love those we're shut in with well. This can be hard, right? Your siblings probably drive you nuts sometimes. But what would it look like if you loved them well? If you woke up every day saying, how can I love my brother or my sister well? It's a challenge, right? But it's a way that you can love your neighbor, and right now they're your neighbor, very much so. So finding ways to love them, care for them, be there for them would be a great way to show love of your neighbor during this time. Maybe cleaning your room. Your mom asked, hey, you asked you a bunch of times, clean your room, please clean your room. Maybe this is the time to do it. You got some extra time. Maybe you clean it up and you go, hey mom, do what you ask. That would show a lot of love to your mother. I'm telling you right now. It did back in my day. If I kept my room clean. So that's a great way. Help your dad in the yard. I don't know. Maybe your dad's starting to go out in the yard. I know I'm going to start going out in the yard pretty soon here and doing some work. And maybe you say, hey dad, you need some help? I'd be glad to help you. That's going to show some love for your dad. So those are some ways right there that you could help your neighbors right now. In your house. Maybe check in with people at church or school or friends. Check in with relatives. Maybe that could use just a hey, how you doing? Or a kind word, or a funny meme to make their day. I don't know. There are probably all kinds of ways that you can check in and be there for people, or just a simple text or phone call or something like that. It would probably mean a lot to somebody. So think about doing that. Wave at your neighbors, your actual neighbors, like the people that live next to you. If you live next to people and you see them out, be very friendly with them. Wave, be happy to see them. Yell, how you doing? You need anything. I've got a neighbor that lives near me that the other day on Facebook, I just quickly mentioned, hey, if you need anything, we're nearby and we have plenty of time, so just let us know. I'd be happy to help them and drop something their way. So if you can think of any other ideas, again, put them in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think too, because again, we're going through this together and we got to figure this out. and I don't know any other way to do it other than try to do this online. So if you have ways, let's do it, and let's love our neighbors through this time, all right? That is story time for today. Hey, listen, if you have anything that you want to pray about or you want me to pray about, again, drop those you can drop those in the comments. You can get a hold of me on Facebook or Instagram. You can, if you have my phone number, if you need my phone number somehow, let me know. And I can pray for you. Love to do it. If you have any prayer requests, anything like that, we'd love to do it. But I just want to pray for you guys right now as we're getting close to ending this thing, and then we'll close it out. So let's have a moment of prayer. God, thank you so much for this time. Thank you for each and every person watching this. Thank you that you're with us, and that even though this is a scary time sometimes and we're just not sure what to do with it, you do, and you're going to be there, and you're going to help us. And I just pray that we won't be afraid, but instead we would look for ways to care for the people around us. Be with any prayer request that is out there and anybody else has. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Well, listen, oh yeah, we always do this too, random video. So I don't really have capability to like embed a video yet, okay, with random videos. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to try to put a link in the comments for you. So click on that. The one I was thinking of, if I can't get it done, middle school student ruins the news. Just check that out. Look that up on YouTube. It's on there. Everything else, I hope, will be in there. Again, follow us. Facebook, if you got it, After the Bell. On Instagram, you can see it, BTC, Between the Crowd, ATB, After the Bell, BTC, ATB. Look that up. I'll try to put things on there. If I think of more stuff that I can put out, I'm going to do that as well. Because, hey, let's have some fun while we're all indoors, all right? We'll see what happens. You have comments, suggestions, leave them. Suggestions for this spot, leave it. I would love to have some special guests. I don't know if that's going to be possible, maybe outside. I don't know. We'll see what happens. If I can pull that off, I'll do that. But guys, take care. Love y'all, and hang in there. We're going to get through this. See you later.